Hey guys, it's another dull, dreary day out there, so let's take a few minutes and do some work to my R2 Cruiser powered scooter. Get it ready for when the weather improves this afternoon. We can take it for a little rip. Thanks for watching. In the last video on the R2 Cruiser, we kind of just gave it a quick look over, see what kind of work it was going to need to get it going. And where we left off, both tires are flat. You can see we're off the bead there. I don't know if they have tubes in them or whether they are a tubeless type. And we've got a loose brake handle up here that we're going to need to look at. Seat clamps missing, and rear fender needs some attention. The big thing that I was concerned about was the fuel system and the carburetor, and doing a little bit of thinking. When I pulled the cap off this fuel tank last week, there was absolutely no smell of stale fuel in there. This thing hasn't run in well over 10 years. The fuel would be just rotted. I do seem to vaguely remember the last time I used it that I absolutely dumped every last little bit of fuel out of this thing and I ran it in the carburetor dry. So I do have a brand new carburetor that we could put on this. I ordered it in from Amazon. I don't know if it fits or not, but it should work. However, maybe this one's going to be all right. If all the fuel got taken out of it, it might just be a matter of dumping in some decent fuel and giving it a try. We'll try that later in the video. First thing I want to address is the tires. I think we're going to need a functional rear mud flap here, a rear fender. It is pretty sopping wet outside, it rained all night. So let's get a few of these little tasks sorted out, and then we'll take it out and see if we can get it to fire up. What we have here is a Qingda 3.0 by 4 tire. I don't know, I don't see whether it's got tube or tubeless style on there. There is a little bit of cracking. I don't see it right now, but I did see it a minute ago. Looked like there might have been a little bit of cracking in the sidewall. This machine is probably close to being 20 years old, so if the tires are a little bit rotted, although it has spent its life when not in use in a closed shed, it is possible that the tires might be a little rotted. Let's see if we can get this cordless air pump on here. That's in. Plug your ears. Well, I don't see a maximum pressure on here, but according to the gauge on my little machine, it says we got 20 psi in there. That should do. Let's see if we can get at the back. The back's going to be a little more of a challenge because the Schrader valve is in behind the gear or the cog for the chain. And originally, this had some kind of like little extension stem that you could screw on to get the valve out clear of the rim, but that has long since disappeared, although I think I've seen it fairly recently, like as in before the move over to the new garage, but I don't recall seeing it post-move, so who knows where it's disappeared to. Let me get you set up at the back of the bike here, and we'll get this on and see if we can fill that tire too. Right there is the end of our Schrader valve. I'm going to take a wild leap and guess that that's got a tube in it of some sort. One of the reasons that I ended up parking this thing was that the back wheel went flat, and I think the rim was just spinning inside the tire. And it wasn't running all that well, even with the new carburetor, and it was easier to use a conventional pedal bike. So that's what I did for the remainder of that trip. And then this thing got put away and never fixed. This is not going to fit in there. It doesn't fit in between the sprocket and the wheel, and it doesn't reach far enough when I go in straight shot like that. I believe I've got one that would go on straight, that kind of threads on. Let me go take a look around. I'll see if I can find that. If that's not the case, then what we'll have to do is we'll have to take the spur wheel off and then just take the sprocket off so that we get on it just like the front. Let me see what I can come up with. I like it when a distant memory doesn't let you down. This is the little 12-volt pump that I keep in the or under the back seat of my Jeep. So hopefully I'll be able to get that straight threaded fitting, push through the spoke in the sprocket, and get that tire to take some air. Okay, I give up. That thing just does not want to thread in there. There's not enough room to get my fingers in to get this little end to spin on. I thought that was going to be the perfect solution. So I ran down to the local hardware store and picked up this. It is a gauge with a valve stem on it. So I think we can just slip this in. I think that's on. Now we can go to the Harbor Freight inflator. Put it on there. We'll give it a try. Well, that's not easy. I can feel this thing starting to build up a little bit of pressure, but as soon as I let off on the trigger on the inflator, it just drops back down to nothing. That tells me there's something wrong with the tube. Okay, I guess we rip that back wheel off and see what's going on. I got the other side backed off just a little bit. I don't know whether this... Oh, it's coming undone. I can feel the whole thing spinning though. Got those loose. Now we've got our chain tensioner. What we're going to have to do is back the tensioner off, slide the whole wheel forward, get the chain off the sprocket, then we can pull it back out of the slot. Just can't be easy, you know. Both sides are loose. Over here, I've got a bracket on the muffler that goes down and captures the wheel, and it's kind of holding it stiffly in place. We don't want that. There we are. Okay. Far side is loose. Close side is loose. Let's see if we can get that out of there. Okay. There's our center axle. Get that sprocket off of there. No, that went flying. This feels like a nice thick tube. I was half expecting to see this valve stem ripped out, but it doesn't look bad. Let's give this a little shot of air and see how it works out. Maybe there was just, the tube was collapsed and I was filling it up inside the tire. I don't know. Oh, we got a hole. The question is, have we got any other holes? What I'm going to do is run over to the hardware store again and pick up an inner tube patch. That feels like a nice heavy inner tube. We'll throw a patch over that leak, and hopefully that'll seal things up and get us back in business here. I'll be back in a couple minutes. So I have a rule. It's not a real project unless you've been to the hardware store 3 times or spent $100. And we haven't reached that point on this little undertaking just yet. But trip number 2, we got a patch kit for an inner tube. I got some Castrol chain loop, and the main reason that I did that was it was the cheapest one on the shelf that came with a straw. And we got some CRC brake cleaner. Now this is the Pro Series. I don't know what that means, but it's a bigger can. Definitely has more weight to it than the standard series cans, but at the same time, it was a bit more money. But let me get some parts spread out here on a towel, and we'll get them sprayed down, soaking in the brake cleaner so that we can get them wiped down and cleaned up. And then we'll get that patch done on that inner tube. I gotta be completely honest, the last time I patched an inner tube, I was probably not even a teenager. We have in the kit, we got a couple of tire spoons, not necessary in this case. We've got some glue, which I'm sure is single use. And we've got some tire patches, which should be adequate. A couple of different sizes. I got nice little round ones, a couple of different oblong ones. Ooh, we got a tire file. How about some instructions? Let me read the instructions. I know I'm a guy, I'm not supposed to read instructions, but since I haven't done one of these in a long time, probably not a bad idea. Here, we'll hold this up. I don't know whether that's going to focus for you guys or not. Let you read the instructions. I don't know if there's instructions on there, but let me pause the video and I'll bring you guys back when we're ready to put this back on. I guess we figure this out on our own, because as you guys probably saw when I held up that what I thought was instructions, it's actually just a safety notice. I guess we take our little cheese grater and distress the area around where the patch has to go a little bit, so there's something for the bite. Again, the glue just repeats the safety warnings and doesn't actually give us any hint on how we're supposed to do this. I'm assuming that it is some kind of contact adhesive. This looks like a decent patch. I don't necessarily feel any stickiness on the bottom of that, so we'll give it a little. Hey, if I'm completely mucking this up, by all means, leave a comment down below. As I say, I think the last time I patched a bike inner tube, I was probably not even 10 years old, so it's been a while. We'll let that sit for a couple of minutes. I'll bring you guys back when we're ready to seat that on there, or at least what I think is the process to seat that on there. and hopefully we'll have a functional inner tube again. I don't know, it's had a few minutes to sit. I'll just kind of push this on. Right, wrong, otherwise seems to work. Okay. Let me put this aside. Actually, let's fill it up just with a little bit of air so it's firm. Push nice and firm onto that seal, make sure that it's going to stay seated. Not that I have the best hearing in the world anymore, but hold it up to my ear and I don't hear any hissing, so that's a good sign. Okay, we'll set that aside. I'm going to clean up the tire too, because some crazy person got chain lube all over it. Not that it really matters, but drizzle a little bit of the brake cleaner on there and brake disc, bearing. Well, it's a bearing. Keeping in mind that this was a rather inexpensive model back in its day, I'm gonna guess they weren't using the call it the highest quality parts in the world. Just trying to knock the worst of the grunge off of it. If we were doing a full-blown restoration on this thing, definitely we would do more, but okay. That might have been a little bit premature. The bead certainly takes a good bite. Okay. Now the glue's had a chance to set up on this, and we could take the Schrader valve right out, but we'll just press on it, get the most of the air out of here. bit of air in the tube just to kind of get it up, so it's not collapsing. And our notch in our hub we want to line up with the stem on the inner tube. It's got our brake side reassembled. Let me finish cleaning up the sprocket and the other side of the hub, and we'll get that stuffed in here. I'll bring you guys back when I'm ready to reassemble. I think I've got this all assembled properly. We've got our center shaft, we've got our nylock nuts, spacers, a washer, same thing over on this side, except we've got a second nut that kind of fits in there. It tightens everything together. And now it's a matter of getting everything kind of pushed back into place and getting the chain around the sprocket. This could be interesting. I don't know how great the light is going to be for you guys to see here, but I'll set you on the stand and we'll see if we can make it work. Well guys, this was never intended to be a Will It Run video. I was kind of expecting to do that as its own separate thing, but we've got it to the point where the chain's all lubed up, the tires are back on, they're full of air. I know it's got spark, and if memory serves me correctly, this thing was completely drained of gas and run dry when it was put away. We might get really lucky. Let me haul it outside. We'll dump a little bit of that True Fuel stuff in it and see what it does. Maybe it'll fire up and run. Let's see. I'll bring you back in a few minutes when I got things staged up outside. Now, I'll warn you right now, it was last time I was out, it was kind of raining, so there might be a few water spots on the lens, but we'll see if we can get it to run anyways. I've got the pre-mixed fuel. This happens to be True Fuel brand, not sponsored by them, of course. But hey, if they wanted to reach out, just saying, any of these pre-mixed fuels are basically the same thing. We dump it in and we'll see whether it's going to work or not. I don't want to put too much in, just in case this thing is a complete and total waste. Basically, we want to get up over the fuel clunk, the pickup for the fuel tank in the bottom. Hopefully our kill switch is going to work. And our choke, leave in the up position. We do have a primer bulb. I think it was supposed to be a primer bulb on the bottom of the carb, but it is absolutely rock hard. So I don't know whether this is going to work or not. But we'll cheat. We'll try a little bit of the huff stuff right down the throat. There's well guys, you heard it fire, but I think that was just firing on ether. It's not pulling any fuel. And I see we got a little crack in the fuel tank here that's going to need some plastic welding. You can see the fuel dripping out of there whenever it splashes around. So I'm glad I didn't try and fill the tank up. I think this is where we're going to end this one. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Appreciate you taking time to watch the video. If you got this far, can you give me one of those thumb up things? And if you haven't already done so, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate that a lot. And we'll catch you guys in the next mess. Thanks for stopping by.